me get my playlist up. Let me get to this Busta Rhymes album, E.L.E. 2. All right, Extinction Level Event 2. The OG Extinction Level Event is pretty cool because it's what are the songs off of here from? Yes, this has like one of his biggest hits ever. That album, the Janet Jackson feature. What's it gonna be? Okay. Hey, talk about music videos that are fucking dope, right? And they got all the this was like in 2000. They got like all these fucking crazy special effects and shit. They're all covered in like chrome shit. Man, that shit is tight. All right, that shit used to be on fucking BET 107 or 106 in Park or some shit all the time. Yeah. That album also has Ozzy Osbourne on it, including Mystical and Flip Mode Squad. Those are the 4 features: Flip Mode Squad, Mystical, Janet Jackson, and Ozzy Osbourne.
Wild.
On the original Extinction Level Event, The Final World Front. So, sorry, that was 1998, and 22 years later, he's making a sequel.
Wow.
So, and this thing is like, I mean, he's pulling out all the stops, it feels like. So, where's a good place to start? Where is a good song to start off with? I guess the intro. The intro is...
The intro.
Yeah, I guess so. It was the only place that makes sense. Now, here's kind of... I'm going to nitpick on something. But what do y'all think about having to listen to this whole fucking intro for like more than 2 minutes before you... And Chris Rock. You got to listen to Chris Rock like for... This is all like 2.5 minutes. Only 5 years left. Like 2 whole minutes before you even get a whiff of some Pete Rock or some Rakim or some Busta Rhymes. So that did kind of piss me off a little bit. But in the streaming age, does that really matter? I mean, you can just skip it.
Yeah, you're right.
I think it's fun the first time, and then it's like and then that's a skip. Like,
yeah, definitely. It's a skip. It's a skip in the streaming age, but like before, that's such an important like you know you need that kind of like introduction to an album. And in the time I feel like Busta came up, like he didn't even understand the concept. Like he wanted probably people to like listen to that and be like, oh, this is like,
set the tone and set the mood, and
it's got like a spiritual element almost. It's like
very
like apocalypse, like
and very like good versus evil too, like God versus the devil kind of narratives as well. So I did think that was funny that they started off with it. I'm not a big fan of in 2020 like putting like especially long drawn out intros, interludes, and things like that onto songs, especially if they're skippable after the first or 2 listens. So like when you're like you haven't heard the album yet, you're gonna listen to that and you're gonna pay attention to the mood that it's setting. But after that, you'd really just like to get to the Pete Rock, get to the Rakim, get to the rapping. So, but I mean, this does kick things off going in a cool direction. So they do bring back the Nas sample in here. Pretty fire. I like that interpolation with the live piano version of it. And that's something I noticed about this album too. Like, it has a lot of references and interpolations of either previous Busta Rhymes related things or just, I don't know, random classic hip hop shit. Like I said, we start off with a Nas thing, and as we get deeper into the album, I mean, they use fucking Belle Biv DeVoe's Poison. We go a little further down, they use Old Dirty Bastard from Brooklyn Zoo for like a hook. We go a little further than that. That Mariah Carey song, if I remember, kind of reinterpolates like old Busta Rhymes shit. I can't quite remember. Then you got Michael Jackson coming up later on in the album, used at the end of that song, and then flipped into a sample for that Kendrick song, which the Kendrick song is apparently, I mean, it sounds like it, right? Like, you can tell different eras of Kendrick, and that sounds like Good Kid, Mad City Kendrick.
Yeah.
Like, on the money. And so it made sense when they said, like, oh, it's 6 years ago. Yeah, this is like right on that time frame. So yeah, there's a lot of like referencing stuff, a lot of remember this, a lot of like here's that, a lot of like features, bells and whistles and stuff like that. Do y'all like that in albums? Was that like a positive? Was it a distracting thing?
The mixing was really interesting. Like, it was very like through like the first tracks till that Belle Biv DeVoe track is like they're all mixed. They all sound different. Like, the way he's rapping is like, I don't want to take it here, but it feels like if Tech Nine got love, like super love, like
hip hop love. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like Primo, and like, you know what I mean? Was like, yo, Tech Nine, go crazy, go crazy. And it's just like, oh, like there's like the Busta, it's like the classic Busta isms of him like snarling and like
super cartoonish too. That's something I noticed about his.
Cartoon.
There's some different Busta Rhymes like versions you can get, and this one is really pitched up to be cartoonish and zany and kind of like how he was when he first came in, right? His first single when he came in was Woo Ha, Got You All in Check, and all the like ad-libbing and sound like rah 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 rah. You know, it's like it kind of went back to that spirit of things. But then there's like a much more intense Busta Rhymes. Then there's a Busta Rhymes that can rap really fucking fast, and sometimes these kind of bleed into each other. But I will say this too. My favorite Busta Rhymes album, probably hands down, is 2006, The Big Bang. And that's like a really subdued, kind of very sober Busta Rhymes, kind of very matter of fact. And I love that album because of songs like In the Ghetto and fucking Stevie Wonder, Been Through the Storm featured on there too. There's some really great tracks on that album. The Big Bang, Busta Rhymes. Just to our listeners, like if y'all haven't heard that project, it's really cool. That's one of my favorites for sure. But yeah, this is definitely more like a ringleader of some kind of, you know, musical circus going on, and he's just kind of like, he's really like I said, pitched up the zany quality of it. So let's
fast raps for the revolution. That's really what that's what I'm getting. Like that first 4 tracks, he had the Farrakhan sample, and I was like, oh, interesting, very interesting. And then he was just he was rapping about like some like real stuff. Like it was definitely like, it was more like woke almost. Like he wasn't just rapping about rap. It was more like, I'm rapping about like the stuff that's going on. Yeah. And there's of course like I am the you know what I mean, the king, the Caesar.
Yeah. He
got that kind of vibe too.
He did do a lot of like the there will never be a me again type feeling thing. So, and you're right, he did do a lot of the like flashy quick rapping. Like even in the Mariah Carey song, which is a vibe. There comes in that little section where he busts it down really fast and does like a, you know, that kind of a quick little rhyme scheme, and then they go back into a little bit more of what they were doing. But Trent, you got anything to pitch in so far?
No, I mean, as nothing that you guys haven't said. Busta's like one of my, like, on my tier of like legends. Like Busta is like in there somewhere, but I kind of like don't always pay that much attention to him.
He's a tough
like,
one to place.
I know
for me.
how, yeah, like everyone knows how skilled he is, and like the energy he brings is like, you know, like unmatched really. But like, I don't know. Sometimes he falls by the wayside for me. But there are a couple songs on here that I'm like, it just made me want to go listen to more Busta. Like I was playing video games while I was listening to this, and when the fucking Rick Ross song came on with the
Ooh,
Terrace
that is a
Martin
moment on
shit,
here.
because Terrace Martin did all the brass stuff on there, dude, I was like, yeah, I had to like put the game down. And I was like, this shit is wild. So this song's like that, and the Mariah Carey is such a fucking bop. Like I was just like, there's a couple tracks on here. I'm like, man, I should really listen to more Busta and get more, educate myself a little more on Busta.
Yeah, because Busta is one of those artists that I think is like on different levels, like understood differently. So, like, I guess I'm saying there are a lot of people out there that just know Busta Rhymes as the guy who rapped really fast on that Chris Brown song.
Look at me now.
And that's like, that's the higher, that's kind of the worst end of it. But again, like, if just depending on your perspective, like, different people know different levels of Busta Rhymes, and he's not really one of those artists that gets like brought up so much. I mean, he's a legend and kind of understood as such, but like, I don't know, we don't talk about his discography like Snoop and Nas and Dre and Cube and these other rappers that we might do that, or even like people like Q-Tip and fucking the group Tribe Called Quest. That's like very hip hop lore, and he's so tight with them, and he's like in those circles, but he's not always the center of conversation. So
I got a question. Because I'm trying to think. I'm really thinking through like the top 20, but like, can you name another fast rapper like that is on that level? Like, are we talking like Twista?
Like Twista.
Eminem is technically like a fast rapper.
Eminem would be another one.
About, like,
and the Tech Nines and those are the first four that come to mind, right? Busta Rhymes, Twista, M, and I forgot what that last one was, but
those are pretty much. I mean, that in itself kind of says something. He is like the fast rapper.
Yeah, and now it's kind of a lane to do fast rapping, right? We all have we have those rappers now that like just want to rap fast and and yeah, I mean that like Eminem and Busta Rhymes specifically, I think are so influential for that very very thing. So what's up?
Now, I mean, when I look at Busta, I low-key don't really look at him as like, I mean, yeah, he could rap fast, but I don't look at him as like the, like the prominent rapper as like a fast rapper, because it's like, if you go back to like his first 3 albums, even back with like Leaders of the New School, he wasn't really rapping.
He didn't do that. Yeah, he
started
didn't even
coming
do the
up
super
more
expressive
so like 2000s. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That's just me.
Because like I always understood, like, obviously like y'all saying, he can rap fast, but like I always understood him as like the reason why I've always kind of seen him as a legend is, one, the era he participated in, the early era with Tribe and all that shit, and also being like one of what is that Tribe song that he's featured on that's like one of the best features of all time? Yes, that song like
Dungeon
was probably
Dragon.
probably the first time I was like, yo, like Busta Rhymes is crazy. But the other thing is that like he's the dude that like he's like, you kind of touched on it, Justice. He's like low key woke, like he's rapping about woke shit, but also like he'll turn around and talk about like selling crack and like beating motherfuckers up and shit. Like, and he like that dichotomy is like, because he's a fucking intelligent, a businessman, been relevant for so long. Like, I don't know. Like, I think the legendary status is more than just like his like like it's so.
And here's what older.
It's more so the energy that he brings on record. You never seen that type of energy until he started to come out.
Yeah,
the ad libs
and the delivery, and here's what older fans will remember too, like people who were maybe listening to the radio or buying albums or hearing music in clubs, like when like in the 2000s or even in the late 90s, like Busta Rhymes was a great like I guess like star rapper, central figure on us. Like he had a lot of hits, is what I'm saying. Like, you know, he had Pass the Cavassier, and he had like Light Your Ass on Fire and shit like that. Like he had a bunch of Pharrell songs that did like super good. He was on features that were great. He had this run of like doing intros on albums that was really dope too. Like he's on a couple Missy Elliott albums. He did the Genuine intro to the 100% Genuine album, I think, or one of those projects. But he did a run of those kinds of things too. So like, yeah, he has done a lot. He's produced a lot of albums, a lot of big hits, either his own or other people's. And yeah, I mean, his last album came out in 2009, which is Back on My Bullshit, which I don't really remember a lot of, but even that had hits on it. Now that I think about it,
even he has a lot of guest features, like even the Flavor in Your Ear remix, like
yeah, and then
that.
yeah, and oh right, and his associations in hip hop have always been dope too, Q-Tip and Pete Rock and shit like that. Cause like he did the another one of my favorite or an album I recommend if you're like trying to get into Busta Rhymes and you just haven't listened to any of his shit. Genesis is another. That's another like area of his career that I really like where he stopped doing the super expressive rah kind of thing, and then he kind of went into something a little bit more intense and kind of gritty. So on this, he has like a remix to Shut 'Em Down. Come on. And so, yeah, I think he's kind of misunderstood type of artist, especially by newer generations. I think he's like just so hip hop. I think he's incredibly so like one of the artists that has evolved the most and the most amount of times throughout his career. And again, his associations with other artists in the business, even up till today, doing shit with like Griselda, right? Has always been really cool. But let's get back to this album and some of the shit that's on it. Features. We got Rakim. Belle Biv DeVoe wasn't a real feature. ODB wasn't a real feature. But we do got Q-Tip on here. We do got that stretch of the 2-song stretch of like kind of island jam. So we got Vibes Cartel on a feature. Rhapsody and Mariah Carey, the old Kendrick Lamar feature, and a Mary J. Blige feature, along with Nicki Greer. Any one of the and Anderson .Paak. Remember, we said if you don't got Anderson .Paak on your album in 2020, your shit's trash. And Rick Ross. So like out of those, did anyone catch a clear like they had the best feature?
I mean, Rhapsody still going crazy, but I'd probably say Rick Ross. That track is too good.
That track is really good, and for some reason to me, it really changed the pace of the album. I feel like it started to strike a pretty different chord when I heard this, but
I think the delivery on that track is a little like toned down a little bit, which, you know, we're just talking about Busta Rhymes' energy is like one of his driving, you know, forces. But I think that it with the Terrace Martin, how smooth he can be, and Rick Ross being just
that's Terrace Martin on there. Of course it is.
Yeah, and so that's why I think like it's just definitely my alley. Like that's my shit. But
no, I think he's really captivating when he decides to go away from the animation of self. You know, that I'll be honest, with this album, I really struggled with that half of the project. That is really, it is so stimulating to hear him like just like there, rapping fast, like a bunch of words, and like just kind of the expressiveness of all of it, right? I know this is like super detailed, real insider reviews here. Yeah, I know, big vocabulary, big brain type of shit, but it's a lot. You know, over 22 songs, like it's a lot for me. It's a long album. it's got all these features, and the other thing too is um, like it's so on the nose. So like the Belle Biv DeVoe thing, or some of the other samples or interpolations they use are really just like on the nose, like Belle Biv DeVoe, using that really really well known Poison break is like, I don't know. It felt like a little bit of low hanging fruit to me, and a lot to take in for one album. And so I kind of get lost in all these different directions. But then he comes through with something like this, and I'm like, this is it. I kind of was hoping for something a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more sobered and straight to the point. And all that like ringleader, very cartoonish stuff that came in a lot of parts in this, I didn't really love. I mean, what do you think?
I think that, yeah, one is too long, but two, like, there are a couple really cool moments that like I'll probably go back to a few times. And then there's a lot of like mid shit. There's not a lot of like, oh, this is horrible, or like I can't listen to this, which I think is like a good enough sign. Like there's a lot of shitty music out, especially like, and no like, I'm not trying to like disrespect anybody, but especially the like, the legends that try to like come
are
back
putting
and
out
keep
some
making
shitty
names
music
for
from time
themselves.
to time. Yeah.
Like there's a lot of trash shit coming out. So I mean, to get a full album that's like what, I don't even know how long it is. It's pretty long though. And not have a couple of songs that are like, God, this is fucking awful. Like I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I would say my first listen, I was really down on it. Like I was gonna come in here and like pretty much shit on it, but the second listen, I realized I must have just been like really grumpy on that first listen or something, because the second listen was like significantly better. Still like some parts in it that I clearly just did not really enjoy, but there were more things that I did like, oh, okay, this is actually nice. I may actually come back and listen to this and whatnot. So overall, I give it like a pretty positive score. What about you, Justice?
I thought it was awesome. Like I said, fast raps for the revolution. I would just say that like if I had to pick, I wish he would just. It would have been like, I wish this was the Jay Electronica album. Like I wish like Jay Electronica was featured on these songs, or there was like like more singers, because I think that like the hooks, like I just want like more like kind of classic, like that kind of classic kind of feeling of hooks, because there was always some awesome singer, you didn't even know their name. It was just like Busta Rhymes, you know what I mean? Like you would be like, who is this woman?
Yeah, but, Busta Rhymes and Jaheim or some shit.
Yeah. Like somebody. But it would just be like a beautiful singing note. But like overall as an album, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's important for the OGs to like, put their stake in the game, because it's like they created this. Like where hip hop is wouldn't be here without, Busta, wouldn't be here without Nas, wouldn't be here without Jay. Like these people are legends in the game, and it's like Trent said, it's good to see them not make just like terrible music.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing Michael Jordan in the Wizards jersey, like
word.
This is the last stand,
Yeah. I can definitely give it some respect on that front, that like he comes back and actually delivers something that should remind you of why he's even relevant today, and why he was a figure in the past, and where his influences lie on certain things right now. This is a great piece for that, and I think it does give context to some of that, and it puts him up. Like even though I thought it was kind of weird for him to pull out the Kendrick Lamar feature from a long ass time ago.
You know what he was doing.
He flipped that little feature like I flipped that keyboard earlier this week. Like, oh, it was worth $50, now it's worth $150. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just go ahead. But yeah, I thought like it was cool to hear him stand up next to one of the current goats, basically, you know. And you know, to anybody that doesn't know, like, I mean, he'll hang with whoever. So yeah, good lengthy conversation on that album. I know everybody's listening to it, so we had to kind of talk about it. But real quick, we're doing okay. We're doing okay on time. How is everybody doing? How we doing?
I'm good.
Everybody feeling good? Yeah, I'm enjoying this episode a lot so far.